Before we get into the devblog today, there is a Russian Navy decal which is on offer because it's the 325th anniversary of the Russian Navy. All you have to do is participate in 3 battles while using Soviet vessels of rank 2 or above with an activity of 50% or higher, and you can get yourself the Russian Navy 325th anniversary decal. It looks absolutely beautiful, and it is as simple as that. At the same time, there's 33% discount on all premium ships in the Soviet research tree, so if you're interested in picking one of them up, go ahead and get it. Also remember, in the anniversary later this year, they'll probably be on 50% off, so if you want to wait for that, make sure to do so. There is also a tournament which is going on. It's 2v2s and up to 128 teams. You can get yourself some cool decals and also a ton of G as well, so make sure to check those out. Anyway, into the regular viewing. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we have another devblog for the 4th Battle Pass in War Thunder, and this is for the USS Detroit, the CL-8. This is going to be a light cruiser for America and is going to be rank 3 and also Keeley Premium. One of the things about a lot of the cruisers that we've had in events in the past, and even the last Battle Pass in the form of the Voroshilov cruiser for the USSR, is they've been event vehicles and not premiums. But the fact that the Detroit is a premium is a big bonus to it, and also means the 4 vehicles we've seen so far for the Battle Pass are all premiums. So this is really positive, very good, and at the same time, it means that we're back to, without the event vehicle stuff, which I think is nice. It means you get more bang for your buck when it comes to the Battle Pass. Of course, if this Battle Pass stays the same compared to previous ones. I'm pretty sure it will. There might be some changes, maybe in the ways that you can acquire stuff, but I'm sure we'll find that stuff out next week. The fact that we have the Detroit here is definitely a positive thing, though, showing that we are in the same mold as we had before. 2 ground vehicles, 1 aircraft, and also 1 ship. Anyway, let's get into the history of the USS Detroit. The Detroit became the 4th ship in a series of Omaha-class light cruisers that were built in the early 1920s. A feature of the series were, of course, its good speed and also powerful armament, which it had 152mm guns in 2 double-barreled turrets and also 4 single-barreled casemate mounts. The Detroit itself was laid down in November 1920 and launched in 1923 when it passed its sea trials later in that year. In the pre-war period, it took part in maneuvers and exercises and carried out diplomatic missions in a number of European countries. And like many other warships of the US, World War II began for the Detroit with an attack at Pearl Harbor. It narrowly escaped death from an attack by torpedo bombers, after which left immediately on a reconnaissance mission to the shores of Oahu in order to detect a possible Japanese landing. From the beginning of the war in 1941, there were escort missions performed for convoys between the west coast of the United States and also Pearl Harbor. In November 1942, the USS Detroit became the flagship of Task Group 8.6, which provided the safety of the northern convoys in the Aleutian Islands, participated also in the liberation of Attu and Kiska Islands as well. The Detroit served in the cold Alaskan waters until 1944, when in the summer she was transferred to Panama as the temporary flagship of the Southeast Pacific Force. The ship met victory over Japan in Tokyo Bay when the Detroit provided supplies for the occupation fleet and the withdrawal of Japanese garrisons from the Pacific Islands. The cruiser then returned to the native waters of the US in late autumn, and in January 1946 was decommissioned and then soon sold for scrap, obviously not requiring it for post-war use. So, did a lot during World War II, but unfortunately after it, not too much indeed. In War Thunder, the Detroit being a rank 3 premium is a very big positive. One of the issues that I hear constantly when it comes to Naval is the fact that either a lot of the event vehicles that you get are event vehicles, so it's quite hard to be able to use them to grind for the tech trees, and also the fact that some of the tech tree grind can be long and arduous. Now, after the tech tree split that happened, last year, I don't think that's really the case anymore. Being able to grind through Navy and get to the highest echelon is probably easier to do than aviation and ground at the moment. Maybe not aviation, depending on the tech tree, but definitely is for ground. And with opportunities like getting stuff like the Detroit, it definitely makes it so it will be much easier to be able to get to those higher echelons, especially if you're interested in the US. So with the USS Detroit, what you're getting on this machine is very similar to some other machines we already have in the game, the Trenton and also the Raleigh. You're getting the 152mm guns. You have the 2 twin gun turrets and also the single gun mountings as well. Now, as somebody who's used a lot of the Trenton and the Raleigh, one of the interesting things about them is the fact that they get some interesting matchmaking. Now, because they're sat around 5.0, you can either get downtied into a bunch of destroyers and you feel like a god, a behemoth amongst men. And then if you have the other side of things, which is you get uptied into 5.7s and 6.0s, you can have a really, really bad time. So it's one of those which is kind of in the middle of everything. It's in one of those situations where you can either do really good or you can do really bad. One of the things about meta BRs in games is that it forces certain vehicles into positions that they may be uncomfortable with. This is why BR changes regularly are very, very useful, because it shifts metas around, meaning that other vehicles that may not get their BR changed may then face a bunch of different vehicles which will then, be in their favor. If you change a bunch of vehicles from, let's say, 5.0 to 4.7, what that means is those 4.7s can now face stuff such as 3.7s, but it also means that maybe there's more predominantly a bunch of people who play 5.0, and because a ton of people are giving 4.7s a go now, because they've been moved down, now they get to fight the 4.7s as well, instead of the 5.0s being up-tiered into 5.7s when that is the predominant BR. So you've got to think about these things, when looking at BRs in general. The other thing that this machine has is it does have 76mm guns, and also it has some others, such as 10 20mm Oerlikons and also 2 quadruple sets of 28mm autocannons. So it has a decent secondary armament. It has 7 of the 76s. This is not too much to write home about. It's not going to do too much, but the AA armament is really nice and is present also on some machines, or at least very similar to. It also has 2 triple torpedo tubes. Torpedoes have definitely taken a hit over the last update cycle, basically because they reduce their speed over distance. So when you actually get them far out, they are really, really, really slow, which is kind of sad, but at the same time it's to stop or prevent stuff such as long lances just annihilating people without them being able to, stop them. So overall, it is kind of how it is, just once again shifting the way that the game's played. But the main thing is you have a rank 3 vehicle here. It's got okay armor, not the best in the business. The 152s do a lot of damage against ships at its tier and also against ships below its tier. The only problem is if you get up-tiered, then it can be a bit of a problem. But guess what? That's an issue with the whole of Naval. And the other thing to also look at is because of the premium bonuses, it will be able to get you through the tech tree pretty quickly. There's a ton of really cool vehicles in the tech trees for the Americans. The Cleveland looks really fun. They also got a battleship in the last update alongside some of the other massive vehicles that they have. It's definitely worth trying to get to them to, have a little bit of fun. And also, at the same time, because this is rank 3, it's going to be useful for dailies. It's going to be useful for specials, and it's going to be useful for doing events as well, if you are interested in getting the naval stuff, or even if you're just interested in getting the naval stuff to get the coupons and then to sell them on the market. For me, when I look at something like the Detroit, I'm happy to see it over a machine like the Voroshilov. I personally would have preferred some kind of interesting and wacky coastal boat, but I'll take this as a good replacement. And also, looking at these Battle Pass vehicles overall, if this is the 4, that we have in this Battle Pass, there's nothing else, I'm pretty happy with them. I understand the critiques that a lot of people talk about, that these are clones of other vehicles. Like, I understand that, some of them are very similar, but at the end of the day, these are all premiums. These are all going to be great for grinding. These are all going to be great to get through tech trees. Hopefully, going forward, people can enjoy this Battle Pass. The theme, at least from what we know, looks really cool. Hopefully we have more information about it in the future. And also, at the same time, hopefully people can enjoy all the decorations and decals, SL, and also boosters that come along with it. As always, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank BRFC, Swollen Ostrich, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Lafouche, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.